Hi, everybody. All right, so we're going to start with a game. I want everyone to participate, and this game is called Name Whatever I Have on the Screen. So let's start with a practice round. Just shout them out. Come on, let's go. All right, good. All right, that was a practice round. That doesn't count. All right, now, these are all, no, I do not want you to just say flower or plant. These are all plants that are native to Michigan. You probably pass by them every single day. They contribute to our ecosystem. They're vital to sustaining life in Michigan. And I would like you to name them, not just plant, flower. What are their names? Wait, did someone just say that? A name. Okay, that's awesome. I didn't expect anyone to. Maybe people could hold up fingers how many they can name. I see a lot of zeros. 1, 2. Oh, 2. All right. That's awesome. And sweet. All right. Next one. Let's see what you can name here. Brands. Shout them out. All right. That's good. I think we've demonstrated. We can keep playing if you want, but I need to start talking. So, obviously, just judging by the crowd, the noise level in the room, you guys were much more comfortable naming these brands just by the letters. And who did feel more comfortable naming these alphabet letters than the plants? Okay, that's, I think, almost everybody. And so, this says that we are much more comfortable naming corporate product just by, the letters in their brands than things that we pass by every day in our natural world. And just out of curiosity, does anyone feel a little guilty about that? Everybody, including myself. So, what kind of world do we live in when we can't identify? Some of us can identify. A majority of us can identify any of the plants that we pass by every day, yet we are able to identify these products just by a single letter in their brand. So this shows that we are more familiar with the commercial world than the natural world. And 2, we have allowed corporations to ingrain themselves into our memory. And because what I demonstrated just now is, when you think about it, truly amazing. Just from one single letter in a certain font with certain colors, in a split second, you can connect it to a product, and maybe you might even connect it to a certain experience, maybe even, a certain phrase, as the O in Oreo, if you had to connect it to a certain phrase, someone might go, milk's favorite cookie, or childhood experience eating Oreos. So these companies have ingrained themselves into our memory very well, and I'd like to point out that this is not an old phenomenon. This is a very new phenomenon that people in the room can be shown an alphabet like that and identify off the top of their heads brands like that. Because 100 years ago, if I had shown that same alphabet to an auditorium of people, they would have recognized that it was a bunch of silly fonts, some colors, but it would have been a plain old alphabet otherwise. But today, we have connected those 26 letters to 26 different companies and 26 different products. And to observe how this has come to be in the last maybe 50 or 60 years, I would say since the 1950s this has become prevalent. And we have to observe how memory works. How have these companies penetrated our memory? How can we recall things like this? How is our iconic recognition so good with these letters? So here we go, into memory. I'd like to define 3 components of memory that all contribute to effectively memorizing things. First one is repetition. I name them all here. First one, repetition. Humans tend to remember things better when things are repeated. This is very logical, and we've escaped the corporate realm. Now we're diving into just everyday things. If things are repeated, you're more likely to remember it. It's very logical. When you study for tests, you'll repeat things over and over to yourself. Fairly simple concept, very true. Then we go to duration. Humans tend to remember things better if things are shown to them over a long period of time. This is also very logical. You don't study, or you try not to study, the night before. Don't cram. You study over the course of a semester. You are more effectively memorizing things. If things happen over a long period of time, you're much more likely to remember them. And so these two are the main components of memory. And as we demonstrated in the activity with the alphabet, corporations and companies have somehow then penetrated the repetition aspect and the duration aspect to effectively ingrain themselves into our memory, because these are the two most important, or two of the three most important concepts that go into memory. So how did they do it? How in the last 50 to 60 years have companies been able to repeatedly and over an extended period of time reach our memories? And the answer is quite simple. Television. US Bureau of Labor Statistics states average American will watch 9 years of television in their lifetime. 1 to 2 years will be spent watching only the commercials. So when we dedicate our lives, or years of our lives, watching 30-second tidbits of companies throwing information at us to buy their product, we are bound to remember them. And this does not include billboards, actually using a product, radio, all other mediums of information that contribute to companies giving us a product. Oh, shoot. Sorry. So we have been bombarded with information in the last 50 to 60 years, and that is how we can instantaneously recall these retrieval cues just by showing an alphabet. And there's a third component that I'd like to explain, and it's called quality. Because even though we have been constantly and over a long period of time in the last 50, 60 years bombarded with information, all corporations have access to this medium now, television, the modern world, but some companies do it better than others. There's no doubt. We are more likely to remember those companies, and that's where quality comes in. Each commercial accesses the visual and auditory encoding devices of the brain, and if a company is able to do this effectively, we will remember that company effectively, and hopefully we spend more money on that company. And this is where your high school English class, the ethos, logos, pathos, those three components come in. But I'm not here to discuss those simple concepts of different advertising techniques only. I'd like to discuss a more underlying tone that commercials utilize that isn't as easily observed, and that's where we come into mood congruency and stress hormones. Mood congruency is a phenomenon where the mirror neurons in our brain interpret things that we see or hear and associate a certain mood with whatever is being shown. The mood that is communicated to us will be associated with whatever other things that are being communicated to us simultaneously. The mood is memorized. That's basically it. Stress hormones are when a certain mood becomes so powerful that stress hormones are released from your brain, and effectively we memorize them most effectively. That's usually not applicable to commercials unless they make you cry, which some people do cry during commercials. But those are more for extreme emotions such as love, heartbreak, stuff like that. You remember those very vividly. So the best way to demonstrate this quality aspect is to show you an advertisement and see how companies utilize mood congruency to penetrate your memory. So let's do it. Oh shoot, how do I start this? Thank you. All right, so this is a commercial. There is a family being shown. There's a white background. It's very homely, loving. That's very sweet. It's a family environment, suburban. It's a shaky camera, maybe a home video. Child loving, same videos. Oh, he's crying, but that's all right. All right, diversity. Yeah, successful dad, a proud father of a successful son. There's a beautiful sunset. Women going to a beach. Oh, they're gonna have so much fun. They go swimming. Oh, that's something you want. That's very romantic. And caring, more diversity. Those are sweet gestures. More romanticism. There's an infant very sweet. What is this ad for? Chevrolet. So effectively, Chevrolet has penetrated those ideas of, you know, all the things we saw: love, caring, romanticism. These underlying moods that are being communicated to us that we don't recognize, but we subconsciously associate with Chevrolet after seeing that advertisement. So let's track back. Not only have companies in the last 56 years, through television, repeatedly and over a long duration of time, bombarded us with information, they have done it in ways that we don't even know they're doing it. So this has led to us instantly recognizing their products just by a letter. And so what are the impacts on society? If this is a new phenomenon, there must be some repercussions to it. So let's do it. 1934, far before any of this was a reality, national average household expenditures ranged at around $1,500. Percentage of income on non-essential goods were around 23.8%. These are all coming from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And with inflation, that's around $14,600 modern day money. So this is long before this societal change. And then we'll go to the 21st century, also supplied by U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. National household expenditures have risen to $40,700 around. And percentage of income spent on non-essential goods have risen to 50%, almost 50%. So I'm not implying that this societal change and this spark of television and advertisement is directly correlated to this. That is not what led to this. There are, of course, a national income, rise in national average income, other cultural changes that contribute to this massive shift in our monetary use. But has this societal change and has this new technology, has the advertising industry had an impact? The answer is yes. It's no doubt had an impact on this, and we need to be aware of it because it's essentially our money. If you look at a very cynical aspect, they are taking advantage of us. We are a product of their world they're creating. And so that's observing the past. We'll go to the 21st century now. A new medium of advertising. We're going to revisit repetition, duration, and quality, and we're going to look into the future as we're going to decipher the future, as TEDx's motto is. So there are new mediums of technology which advertisers can take advantage of, known as the internet. As television is starting to fade and internet is coming on the rise, companies can now access these three qualities in a more effective manner. Again, repetition, duration, and quality. So we're going to go with repetition first. These are Twitter follower numbers of companies. Apple iTunes has 5.5 million Twitter followers. Whole Foods has 3.64 million followers, and McDonald's has 2.23 million Twitter followers. And this is self-explanatory of how this reaches the repetition factor of memory, because every time 2.23 million people open their Twitter feed, they'll see McDonald's has tweeted this. It could be a picture, it could be a advertising thing saying, we have a half off sale on whatever. And so we are not only being reached via television, we are also being now more frequently reached by the internet. I'd like to move on to viral advertising. This is the quality aspect of advertising that I talked about. Viral advertising is where companies aren't restrained to a 30-minute video to, penetrate the quality aspect of your memory. They can utilize YouTube, where they can submit videos all the way up to 15 minutes, an hour. They can create several videos. They can create TV shows. They can create posters, pictures, internet activities. They're all the opportunity to advertise in creative ways and to make you remember a product has exponentially increased, and the floodgates have opened with the internet. So we need to be aware of these things before you push subscribe, before you like a corporation on Facebook. Ask yourself, why are you doing this? And what are they doing to me when I like this? Be aware. Be aware that what has of the societal changes in the last 50, 60 years, and be aware how you have been affected by it. Are you being subconsciously affected? And what are you subscribed to? And how are companies accessing you? How are they taking advantage of you? And I'm not here to, by any means, to tell anyone how to spend their money, what not to spend it on, what's valuable to them. But I'm saying that this information is very much valuable, and the more information you have, the better choices you're going to make on what you want. And thank you. That's it.